Do you know anything about Uruguay? Well, I could answer yes, because in the 6th grade here, we another random act. We study South America, and I was assigned Chile, but there was a very pretty girl 2 rows over that was assigned Uruguay, and I've always had since that time I've always had a special spot for Uruguay. And Las mujeres en Uruguay, preciosa. It was early in the morning. I still happened to be home, and I said, the president wants us to go to Uruguay. My wife Kathy said, Uruguay? That's so far away. It's so far away from our grandchildren. Can't you ask for something else? And so I did. We've been married for 48 years. I want to keep it that way. I called and I said, do you have anything closer? Then I called a friend of mine who had been an ambassador in the past. He said, you idiot. He swears he didn't say you idiot, but I know he did. He said, for one thing, they'll never call you back. Number 2, Uruguay is one of the best posts anywhere else. And being the U.S. ambassador in a small country is a very, very wonderful position. So I called back, didn't speak to my wife this time, and said, I would really like to go to Uruguay. And so I went through all of the preparation, the testing, and all that. I hired a very beautiful Venezuelan tutor to teach me Uruguay. The homework was wonderful. And we got there, and it's just a wonderful country with wonderful people. Just the nicest people anywhere. It's Verdad. The very, very nicest. They had some doubts about me. One of the first things that I read in one of the newspapers is this Wall Street shark is coming to represent the United States, and actually that same press. The year after named me Man of the Year, a very far left magazine. Was that Princeton? I've forgotten which one, but yeah, see. Uruguay was just going through a big change when I arrived in 2006. The Frente Amplio, which is a coalition of several leftist parties, had just won the election in 2005, both for the parliament and the president, and it was adapting to that. And Mario Begara was part of a three-person team in the Ministry of the Economy that was trying to adapt the country. The minister at that time is now the vice president, and the other colleague is now the minister of the economy, and they pretty much demonstrated that the left can be pragmatic, and they made some very significant changes, and did a very, very good job. What I found in Uruguay, and I think one of the things I really found is that I have trouble talking about Latin America or Hispanic America because it's just too simplistic. I mean, every country is so different. Every culture is so different. And I think one of the things that one of the many lessons I learned is serving in Uruguay is that culture is very difficult, and we are a very, very complex species, and so I have. Particularly now we're talking about the Middle East, and I think we have to be really, really careful about generalizing about the Middle East. And certainly, when you talk about Latin America and you think about, I lived in England for a couple of years, and people there used to say that we were separated by a common language. And I think people in South and Central America, in many ways, are just in that situation. So if I make a comment about Latin America, I'm very careful about. But I think there are a couple of generalizations that occur to me that, at least certainly in the Southern Cone, there's some great advantages. They had the big crisis of 2001, 2002, so you didn't have an opportunity to get as far extended as we did up here. So there's not, and also don't have crazy mortgage ideas, that mortgage plans as we have here. So you have the private sector basically not being that leveraged, the business sector not being that leveraged, and the government not being that leveraged. And so, and then in addition to that, there are terrific conditions because of the high commodity prices. So and you have basically a young population that's growing. So I think the opportunities in Uruguay generally, I know, and extrapolating from that, are fantastic. And I know if I were a young person, I'd be down there in a second, because I just think there is so much to do. But there are challenges. There are. I think there's a saying that that the best time to fix your roof is when it's not raining. So now the economy is very sunny, but to try to make it more investor friendly, to improve capital markets and all those things, they are difficult things to do. And I just hope that while things are good, because they're not always going to be good, that some of the changes that will make Uruguay even more attractive and its neighbors even more attractive are done, and that's a huge challenge. I do think that the products of Haas will be it can be extremely valuable. What we have in the world, we talk about unemployment here. Your employment is one in Uruguay is wonderful, and I assume for the other people here. But the world is going through a shift. You cannot underestimate the impact of technology. So many of the jobs that have been lost in the United States are not coming back. Those employers have seen that they don't need the function, or that it can be done a better way. Maybe outsourcing, but mostly through technology. But many of the people who have lost their job have skills that are marketable. They're going to have to find a different way of marketing themselves, not necessarily on an individual basis, but within companies. So what we have is kind of a challenge here and many other places, where on one hand it's sort of offered that there'll be a lot more support from the government. And the other, I mean, this is a choice. We have a much more support now for the unemployed than we ever had in the past, or we're going to have to rethink how we market ourselves. And I think that Haas is preparing people to adapt to the new economic environment. It's nothing that has nothing to do with the downturn that we had. Ronald Coase, Nobel Prize winner from Chicago, said that the biggest advantage to size was a reduction of transaction costs. That advantage isn't there any longer. I mean, you can start a business. Here we're bailing out General Motors, Ford, et cetera. I mean, we start 3 or 4 new car companies right here in California. So the advantage to size is not inherent. Most sizable organizations are reducing their employees, the number of employees. So I think that the success that Haas brings is to teach how to be entrepreneurs. And so I think that I would take that with you as you go back. And another thing that you really need to go back and talk about in as you're talking about fixing the roof while the sun is shining is education. It's not just here. Education of the young people. The dropout rate in South America, the dropout rate here is horrible. We in this country and most of the countries in this hemisphere are not preparing our young people to compete economically with the rest of the world, China and India specifically, but Korea and others. And we're just going to lose. We're going to lose. And it isn't something in the far off future. It's a little bit like high blood pressure. You don't know you're dead until you're dead. And it's that serious. And also socially, it's almost any social problem you can talk about, unemployment, crime, healthcare, are all as a result of poor education. So we have this big gap, and we just have to address it as a hemisphere. So as you're going back as young people, just try to bear that in mind. There are always many things to do in life, and I like one of the sort of traditions of Cal is to try to be of service outside of whatever our profession is. So as you go back, I think these are just some of the things that you might think about in trying to serve your immediate populations. And as I said, Mario Bergara was really important. Has been really important in Uruguay for some period of time. We're lucky to have him as a PhD from Cal, and he incidentally 2 years ago received the Haas Award, a very important award, and spoke to the entire student body at graduation. He was very articulate, very well done, great talk. He's become a really good friend. I get to go back to Uruguay at least once a year so far. Go to Punta del Este, which a few of you might know where that is, and we usually have a big party and many parties, which is fiestas, and we did a number of things together. We worked on trying to improve the capital markets, and Mario's still doing that. Montevideo has a stock exchange, but it's vintage 1930, and there is so many great possible investment possibilities within Uruguay, but it doesn't have access to institutional capital. So I think that's another big challenge. One of the great things that we did together was go to Antarctica together with a group of other guys. Uruguay has 2 bases, one active base in Antarctica, and that was a wonderful experience. I can't give you all the details, but it was a great experience. And I think we're very lucky to have him, come up here and get away from the sun that they're having down there during their summer. And there's obviously always big challenges for the president of a central bank that he just made this trip just specifically to be with you. I think is just one indication of how wonderful the people of Uruguay are. So I'd like to have him share his thoughts.